Hi, welcome to Street Priest Ministries. I'm your host, Brother Jay, and we're taking the Gospels back to the streets. Today's drive-through message is Gideon, God's doubting coward. Turning your Bible to Judges 6:11. Now, Gideon is a character in the Bible, to me, that shows God's patience. If you know anything about me, you guys know I don't really care for cowards too much. This is God's coward here. Just like we studied in the Bible, famous prostitutes in there, famous whores in the Bible. Those are God's whores. This is God's coward. God calls and chooses whom He wills. And He may started out a little rough around the edges, but He got it together. So we're going, for you cowards out there, this message is for you. And the children of Israel set forward and pitched in the plain of Moab. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me see. Make sure I got the right. Oh, excuse me. I'm going to go to that later. It's Judges 6:11. Okay. Sorry about that. Judges 6:11. Yeah, God has something for everybody in this book to give you inspiration. And this little chicken here, God turned into a warrior. And that's what I like about God. This book here shows His ability to really take us from whatever state we may be in, and to mold us into the image He wants us to be. Okay, so 6:11, Judges. And there came an angel of the Lord and sat under an oak tree, which is an oak tree. So we have an angel kicking back, getting some shade under a tree. That's how it starts out. That pertained unto Joash the Azarite. And his son Gideon, this is his son, Gideon threshed wheat by the winepress to hide it from the Midianites. Now, the backdrop to this story is Israel had sinned again and went a whoring after false gods, mainly Baal and Ashtoreth. And each time God would punish him. And He would send what's called judges to deliver him. This is before Saul, the first king, the rebel. Saul the rebel became the first king. So they were dealing with judges. And periodically, God straightened them out with a judge. Then they backslide again and go a whoring after false gods. And God would let their enemies have domain over them. And Gideon is going to be one of God's judges. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him. Oh, by the way, Gideon he's sunken down in a wine press, threshing wheat enough to get through the day. Because if they were to be seen with one morsel of a meal, the Midianites were like grasshoppers. They would take it from them and eat it before. Just imagine Brother Jake getting ready to take a bite of a hamburger. Here come a Midianite and I'm going to bite the hamburger, goes into his mouth. Picture that. Kind of like the neighborhood I was raised in. It was a pretty rough and tough neighborhood. As a kid, we had bullies that would take your lunch pail, literally. They would jack you for your lunch pail or your lunch money. So I became pretty good at defending my little doggy bowl. Wasn't taking no meal. I love to eat, so wasn't gonna take no meal from me. So I got some skills very quick to defend my little doggy bowl. So This is what Gideon is dealing with right now. He has to hide fear because they would take anything he's trying to eat. These people are like grasshoppers. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him and said unto him, the Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor. That's not a correct translation. I just told you, man's a coward. You see him hiding. He's not sitting out in the sun and on the top of a hill or somewhere because let the Midianites see him eat. Man's hiding in a depression of a wine press. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him and said unto him, the Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor. The actual translation is, the Lord is with thee, the one who is mighty in valor. It's the Lord that's mighty in valor, not him. He's a coward hide. And Gideon said unto him, O my Lord, if thou, listen to his vocabulary, all of doubt. That's why I called him the doubting coward. If the Lord be with us, why then is all this evil? Or why then is all this befallen us? And where be all his miracles, which our fathers told us, saying, did not the Lord bring us up from Egypt? But now the Lord hath forsaken us, and delivered us into the hands of the Midianites. Now, if you would have read his then Bible, he would have found that the Lord said in Deuteronomy, you guys turn to idol worship, this is exactly what's going to happen to you. I'm going to have you serve your enemies. See, God says things, and we can ignore those things, and then we get mad at God when God acts in judgment on what he said for us ignoring the things that he said. Follow that. And the Lord looked up on him and said, go in this thy might, and thou shalt save Israel from the hand of the Midianites. Have not I sent thee? That's his might. Have not I sent thee? Now, in the New Testament, we read Jesus saying that he has empowered us. He said, behold, I give you power to, this is Luke 10:17. Behold, I give you power to tread up on serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing by any means shall hurt you. Jesus says that we're sent, we're called in the New Testament. He called each and every one of us to a task that he has specifically designed for you to do. It's up to you to be obedient to that call, whatever it may be. Whether it's the ministry, and there's different forms of ministry, apostles, evangelists, pastors, teachers. Ministry could be to help save little children, orphans, homeless. Your ministry could be healing ministry, exorcism, exhortation. You could be a prayer warrior. God has a purpose for each and every one of you, and your gifts and talents included in that calling and the gifts that he has purpose for you that you can utilize. And the Lord, the Lord has abysmal patience to me. For one, me and cowards don't get along too well. That's why I say you would want me to be good. Guys, we wouldn't like me. This guy right here, soon as he said that, as soon as he stayed back here, right here when he said unto him, O my Lord, if the Lord be with us, Why has all this befallen? And I think I would have said, man, I think I got the wrong house, wrong address. Let me get my briefcase and go try somebody else. You're a little too scary and too doubtful, too many doubts for me. But thank God for His grace. And the Lord looked up on him and said, go in this thy might. Have I not in this thy might? And thou shalt save Israel from the hand of Midian. Have not I sent thee? And he said unto him, O my Lord, wherewith shall I save Israel? Behold, my family is poor in Manasseh, and I am the least of my father's house. I told you, everybody that's called in the Bible didn't want the job. Here's another one, perfect example. He said, why you pick me? I'm the least of my family. I'm the poorest. They all start out humble. And the Lord said unto him, surely I will be with thee, and thou shalt smite the Midianites as one man. I tell you, the Lord got a lot of patience. And he said unto him, if now I have found grace in thy sight, then show me a sign that thou talkest with me. Okay, that's a little too much, fella. All right, I don't spend enough time with you. Let me get my briefcase and go. Now you want a sign. Depart not hence, I pray thee, until I come unto thee, and bring forth my present, and set it before thee. And he said, I will tarry until thou come again. And Gideon went in and made ready a kid, a baby goat, and unleavened cakes of an ephah of flour. The flesh he put in a basket, and he put the broth in a pot, and brought it down on him under the oak, and presented it, an offering. As poor as this man is in the state in, he gave an offering to God. Take note. And the angel of God said unto him, take the flesh and unleavened cakes, and lay them upon this rock, and pour it out the broth. And he did so. Then the angel of the Lord put forth the end of the staff that was in his hand, and touched the flesh and the unleavened cakes. And there arose up fire out of the rock. The rock, fire came from the rock and consumed this offering. The angel wouldn't even eat it. One of the names for burnt offering in the Bible is to ascend for, means to ascend for God's pleasure. Remember I taught, I think it was, what was the teaching? I'll think of it in a minute. But I had taught that giving to God is like perfume to him. He said, God loveth a cheerful giver. And he likes what he likes. And that's what the meaning of the burnt offering was. This is a type of burnt offering. It's sent for God's pleasure. Throughout the Bible, offering is mentioned. Then the angel of the Lord put forth the end of the staff that was in his hand, and touched the flesh and the unleavened cakes, and there arose up a fire out of the rock, and consumed the flesh and unleavened cakes. Then the angel of the Lord departed out of his sight. And when Gideon perceived that he was an angel of the Lord, Gideon said, Alas, O Lord God, for because I have seen an angel of the Lord face to face. And the Lord said unto him, Peace be unto thee, fear not, thou shalt not die. Well, you remember that from Moses. My teaching on the four prophets. God said, hey, I don't want you looking on me, gazing on me, because you're going to die. But God consecrated him with an offering. Once again, start out with an offering. And he didn't die. Gideon didn't die. He said, peace be unto you. Then Gideon built an altar there unto the Lord. The altar is symbolizing death to yourself. Like Christ, the altar for Christ and for us is the cross. Christ did his mission. That was the altar, where you die to yourself and come alive to the will of God the Father. It's a symbol of death. He said, take up your cross. Us for take up our cross. And learn of him and do his will. Cross is only good to die on. Altar is only good to die on. And to come alive to God's will and his purpose in your life. Then Gideon built an altar there unto the Lord and called it Jehovah Shalom, which is the Lord our peace. Peace in its meaning, cessation of against us. God is no longer your enemy. And it started out with an offering. You had those were the offerings of the Old Testament, the peace offerings, and you had trespass, different offerings. But that's how you had standing with God. And Christ is our peace offering. These are all those offerings represented in the Old Testament, in the New. And we have access to God the Father through the blood of the Lamb, Christ Jesus. We have our peace offering. God is not our enemy anymore. Jesus said, I didn't come to bring peace to the world. He said, I came to bring a sword. He came to bring peace to us, between us and God. The cessation of against us, a white flag. We're no longer the enemy of God. We have access to him now through the standing in the blood of Christ Jesus. And that's what this altar symbolizes. Then Gideon built an altar there unto the Lord and called it Jehovah Shalom, the Lord our peace. Until this day it was yet an Ophir of the Abiezrites. And it came to pass in the same night the Lord said unto him, take thy father's young bullock, even the second bullock of 7 years, and throw down the altar of Baal that thy father hath, and cut down the grove that is by it. Now to touch someone's God, touch someone's idol, their God, they worship their idol God, was certain death back then. You just didn't tear someone's idol God down. The risk of death. And then they're worshiping Baal. We already taught on that, so you guys will know what it is. Baal thy father hath, and cut the grove that is by it, and build an altar unto the Lord thy God upon the top of this rock, in the ordered place, and take the second bullock and offer a burnt offering, or a burnt sacrifice. Here we go with sacrificing, over and over. He said, and offer a burnt sacrifice with the wood of the grove which thou shalt cut down. So he said, cut down his idols. The grove is like a totem pole with all this, with the carved pagan images in it. He said, cut it down. And we're going to use that to burn my sacrifice, burn off in the bullock. Put the bullock on that and burn it. Use the wood for that. Then Gideon took 10 men of his servants and did as the Lord had said unto him. And so it was, because he feared his father's household. Remember, you just to go around taking out people's gods. Taking out their... and so it was, because he feared his father's household. He was afraid. Remember, this guy's a coward. He's scared. And the men of the city, that he could not do it by day, that he did it by night. Now, God didn't tell him when to do it, how to do it, or whether God gave him orders how to do it, but he didn't tell him, day or night. So In other words, he was scared, so he did it at night. So God okay, that's a good start. Still did what I told him to do. And when the men of the city arose early in the morning, behold, the altar of Baal was cast down, and the grove was cut down that was by it. And the second bullock was offered up on the altar that was built. And they said to one another, who have done this thing? And when they inquired and asked, they said, Gideon, the son of Joash, have done this thing. Then the men of the city said unto Joash, bring out thy son, that he may die. I told you. It was a penalty of death for killing off one of their stature gods. Because he hath cast down the altar of Baal, and because he had cut down the grove that was by it. And Joash said unto all that stood against him, will ye plead for Baal? He said, God, Baal's a god. He said, what are you defending him for? He can handle his own business. If he's a real God, he can take Gideon out himself. He don't need your help. Will ye save him? He that will plead for him, let him be put to death while it is yet morning. If he be a god, let him plead for himself, because one has cast down his altar. Let Baal defend himself. Therefore on that day he called him Jeroboam, saying, let Baal plead against him, because he had thrown down his altar. Then all the Midianites and the Amalekites and the children of the east were gathered together, and went over and pitched in the valley of Jezreel. But the Spirit of the Lord came upon Gideon. In the little, it said that God clothed himself with Gideon. That's what the little said. But the Spirit of the Lord came upon Gideon, and he blew a trumpet, and Eleazar was gathered after him. And he sent messengers throughout all Manasseh, who also was gathered after him. And he sent messengers unto Asher, and unto Zebulun, and unto Naphtali. These are all the various tribes of Israel that he sent. This is the northern kingdom, northern 10 tribes. And Naphtali, and they came up to meet them. And Gideon said unto God, if thou wilt save Israel by mine hand, as thou hast said, behold. Now here we go again. He said, well, God, I got to give you one more test. I know we've done good thus far, but let's just play along with me, God. Give me one more. Obviously, not to tempt the Lord. That God had to put him through the test, the trial. God's patient with him. Behold, I will put a fleece of wool in the floor. And if the dew be on the fleece only, and it be dry upon the earth beside, then shall I know that thou wilt save Israel by my hand, as thou hast said. So he said he's going to put a woolly doormat out front. And if it's soaked in the morning and all around the earth is dry, I mean, it only got soaked in one spot. And I know that you're going to deliver it. And it was so, for he rose up early in the morning and thrust the fleece together and wringed the dew out of the fleece, a bowl full of water. And Gideon said unto God, let not thine anger be hot against me. Don't get pissed off at me, God. I got one more test for you. Just be patient with me. See, I told you I would have grabbed my briefcase and said, wrong house. Let me go next door and see if I can find somebody else. God had abysmal patience with this guy. And Gideon said unto God, let not thine anger be hot against me, and I will speak just this once. Let me prove, I pray thee, by this once with the fleece. Let it now be dry only upon the fleece, and upon the ground let it be dew. So he's going to do the opposite now. So he's saying, let it be dew all around, but on the fleece let it be dry. Completely opposite. And God did so that night, for it was dry upon the fleece only, and there was dew all on the ground. Then Jeroboam, who is Gideon, and we got that name now. Let Baal plead for himself as the name. Who is Gideon, and all the people that were with him rose up early and pitched beside the well of Herod. so that the host of the Midianites were on the north side of them, by the hill of Moreh in the valley. And the Lord said unto Gideon, the people that are with thee are too many for me. Here's God. Now God got a sense of humor. He said, okay, this guy put me through the test. Now I'm about to test him. God's turned in it. Told you. God's full of examples of him tempting his say. That's why he said in the New Testament, pray that you enter not into temptation. Pray that God lead you not into temptation. Let me rephrase that. We know the devil is the tempter, and God will lift the veil. Sometimes like he did with Job, and as an example, and other people in the Bible. But here we talking about God. He also can tempt you. So he said, pray specifically that he don't lead you not into temptation. You should do that daily. And the Lord said unto Gideon, the people that are with thee are too many for me to give to the Midianites into thy hands, lest Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying, my own hand have saved me. So you got too many. And the people say we did it. It was just some strength in numbers. So we're going to cut the crew down so we know it's a miracle. Now therefore go to proclaim in the ears of the people, saying, whosoever is fearful and afraid, let him return and depart early from the Mount Gilead. And there returned of the people 22,000, and there remained 10,000. So he lost 22,000 of his army in one fell swoop, because God said, all the cowards, now's the time to bail out. You don't want to go to war? You guys can go home. So they had 22,000 packed their bags and went home. Said, we don't want to fight. You had 22,000 conscientious objectors, go home. Now therefore go proclaim in the ears of the people, saying, whosoever is fearful and afraid, let him return and depart early from the mount. Gilead. There returned to the people 22,000, and there remained 10,000. And the Lord said unto Gideon, the people are yet too many. See how God's getting it back. I got sense of humor too. See, I'll teach you about testing me. Now I'm going to test him. Put him through the test. And I can see Gideon now, watching the troops go off into the sunset. I said, what is God doing? Is he sending me on a suicide mission? You got to put flesh and blood on him. And the Lord said unto Gideon, the people are yet too many. Bring them down unto the water, and I will try them for thee there. He said, I'm gonna give them a test. See, we're going to do some more sifting here. And it shall be that of whom I say unto thee, this shall go with thee. The same shall go with thee. And whomsoever I say unto thee, this shall not go with thee, the same shall not go. And that's self-explanatory. So he brought down the people into the water. And the Lord said unto Gideon, everyone that lappeth of the water with his tongue as a dog lappeth, him shalt thou set by himself. Likewise, everyone that bowed down on his knee to drink, and the number of them that lapped, putting their hands to the mouth, were about 300 men. But all the rest of the people bowed down on their knees to drink the water. So it was the lappers versus the bow downers. You had you had a stream of water. You're thirsty. God made sure they were thirsty. So the ones that were thirsty just stuck their face right in the water and started drinking head first, sucking in as much water as they could. The other ones were alert. They were like this. They never took their eyes. They drank water like a deer. They were alert. So, of the alert ones that lapped like this and was alert watching, remember Jesus said, watch and pray. It was only 300. So remember, you had 10,000 left. So let's do the simple math. 10,000 minus 300 will bring you up to 9,700. So 9,700 get to go home now because they took a baptismal in the water and just went in face first and tried to suck as much water as they can. So they had 300 like Gideon, including Gideon, that were lappers, that were alert as they drank. Okay, so we can imagine the feeling of Gideon. And another of them that lapped and put, in this verse 6, and a number of them that lapped, putting their hand to the mouth, were 300 men. But the rest of the people bowed down upon their knees to drink the water. And the Lord said unto Gideon, by the 300 men that lapped will I save you. By the 300, will I save. And deliver the Midianites into thy hand. Now we know it's a miracle now. It's only 300. And they're going up against a formidable army of tens of thousands. And let all the people go, every man to his place. Send them home. Send those 9,700 troops home. So the people took victuals in their hand and their trumpets, and he sent all the rest of Israel, every man into his tent. And he retained those 300 men. And the host of Midian was beneath him in the valley. And it came to pass the same night that the Lord said unto him, arise, get thee down unto the host, for I have delivered it into thine hand. But if thou fear to go down, go thou unto Pharaoh thy servant. But if thou fear to go down, go thou with Pharaoh thy servant down to the host. And thou shalt hear what they say, and afterwards shall thine hands be strengthened to go down into the host. Now God knows what a chicken liver coward Gideon was. And he said, oh, he was ahead of him this time. God's best chess player in the world. So he said he was already 2 or 3 moves ahead this time. He said, I know this guy.